I want to live be life, but I swear it's not easy. I've been rapping my own man, I get it. And my get we doing, I'm breaking the profit. On my way, people calling me names. All the trouble I see, I ain't do at the peace. When the suffering, the success, I can't pay the code. Only how I get paid. Sooner or later, my hustle pay. The pay, and I'm rushing myself. Keep it cool, everything have a CC. Too much rushing, I probably chasing. One day. Only one day. I get it cool. One day.
I know my hustle gonna pay one day. Any mistake gonna see my face. Me pa, I know I'm not watching it. One day, success gonna come my way. I know my hustle gonna pay one day. Any mistake gonna see my face. Me pa, I know I'm not watching it. One day, success gonna come my way. Yeah. My mama was so angry. My papa was so angry. My friend would eat your money. Any mess that will come on that knees. So I on my way. 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 I'm on my way to this person. I'm looking for money. Looking for money. Looking for money. I want my mama happy. Want my papa happy. Want me, my brothers and sisters to come around me.
Yeah, happy look good. Why you know you hustle? Why saying the book by the Genesis? Shall come at the fire, shall come at the power. Why I feel be working on Wednesday? In my love for the mile, in my love for the mile. All in the dark, all in the dark, all in the week, all in the week. All in the sun,
my mama was so angry. My papa was so angry. My friend would eat your money. Any mess that will come on that knees. So I on my way. 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 I on my way.
Amando, you are a famous star now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women. Welcome to Attorney Commander Glapohkpa Chesson talk show. Today is going to be a rainy day, especially this morning. Right now in Providence, Rhode Island, we're in the low 60s, low to mid 60s. There's going to be a lot of rain this morning. It's going to taper off later on today. But for you going to work, school, or just hanging out on the street, make sure you got your umbrella, your raincoat, drive safely, watch those water spots in the road, and take heed and govern yourselves. Safety first. Okay? Now, we know that we need rain. Many places in America, especially in the Nevada area, we need rain big time, man. The people having serious drought problems there. I mean, the water level so low there. They are passing rules now on water usage. And this is unprecedented. But the water level is so low, man. They show it on TV. I mean, we need rain. Definitely need rain. Today is not enough of what we need, but thank God we're getting some in Rhode Island. But the people in Nevada, they need it too. God, help my people down there. Give them water. The Hoover Dam and all the places that produce electricity down there on the verge of shutting down. This is serious, man. This is serious. Many states depend on the dam, the water in that area for electricity, for heating, for different things. And with this low level of water level in the Nevada area, people are hanging on and praying for rain, man, because the future portends darkness. It can't happen in the United States of America. So God answer our prayers. Send us some rain. I will do the rain dance for y'all. Ow! It's coming. Okay, now, let's get into my thing. My topic, United States of America Ambassador Michael McCarthy's statement about the U.S. Treasury Department's sanction imposed on Liberia's Minister of State, Nathaniel McGill, Head of National Port Authority, Bill Twehway, and Solicitor General, Sayma Cehpus. 2, the rebirth of Liberia and Liberia's failure to thrive. Those are my topics for today. So let me take a break, drink some coffee while you listen to some ad I got from my people out there, and I'll be right back. Thank you. Hang in there, folks. Hang in there. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Attorney Commander Glapohkpa Chesson talk show. Today, I'm at Cehpus African restaurant on the other side of Providence. And she is right here. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Cehpus McCann.
Now, Cehpus has been here for a while, and this is one of our Liberian restaurants. So, Cehpus, tell us how long you've been in this spot and why you decided to get into business.
I've been in this spot for 14 years now. I decided to open this restaurant because of helping people, going out and feeding the homeless, and we need a place where the food be cooked. And I opened this restaurant. Since then, I'm still at the same place, 850 Admiral Street.
So how has the community responded to your effort?
Well, the community has responded greatly to my efforts. I do successfully feed the homeless, and people have embraced the business, and it led me to move forward to Liberia to open an orphanage for children in Liberia.
Wow, you have an
All
orphanage?
from this restaurant.
You're kidding me.
And because of the customer has been very nice to me and loyal to me, I was able to go to Liberia 3 weeks ago and open an orphanage in my late mother's name, Eugenia Bright.
Wow. Where is the orphanage?
In New Jersey, Liberia.
Wow. So what message do you have for your customers?
Well, my customers are very loyal to me, and they are very faithful. They always help me when we're doing the backpack giveaway for children every year, which will soon be coming down end of the month. And then we give the food away, the turkey and chicken in November. And because of the customer, all the tips they leave and all the encouragement help me to promote this business and do what I'm doing moving forward. So I love my customers, I love my neighbors, and I love everybody in general.
We thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you, and God bless you too.
Thank you too. Let the people see the delicious food you fix in
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we got the dismal and depressing news 2 days ago that the United States Treasury had issued a sanction against 3 Liberian government officials. Not against the country, not against the Weah government, but against people working for him, his closest allies. Bweko Boy Jr., Bweko Boy number 1, Bweko Boy number 2, all of them, they got George Weah name. That is name Bweko Boy. You know, everybody take second name, so I hear the name. So all these 3 guys named themselves after him. They fired this guy here, what the guy name? McGill. Then the guy, the third guy, Cehpus. Then the 4th guy, what's his name? Twehway. These are the 3 guys. The other 3 people there that Weah himself on the fire right here behind me, and Prince Johnson, the other killer, and Fanny Sherman, the economic criminal. So these are our major criminals of corruption and fallout of corruption in Liberia. So how do we deal with these people? Let's listen to this ambassador's statement. Ambassador Michael McCarthy, and we'll analyze his statement because he says some very significant things that our people need to pay attention to. And these things, I highlighted them. So after his speech, his statement, we can discuss them because they are significant for us to understand and imprint them in our minds. Because if we don't, our country can be in deep shit. I'm just leaning on the line for you. There's no other way we can say it but straight. We're going too far bad, man. When people, even though Liberia was not sanctioned, when our 3 top government officials are sanctioned, it's a reflection and a cloud that is reflected upon the people and nation that we own. It is not right. So let's listen to the ambassador's statement, then we'll deal with it on the issues of how it impacts us on a more national level as Liberian. He's an American, he's talking it from his perspective, but I want us to look at it from our point of view.
Thank you for coming today to discuss a serious topic that I care deeply about because it is endangering Liberia's future. Liberia deserves high praise in 2022 for courageously standing up for human rights on the international stage. The media environment in Liberia today, such as our group gathering here, serves as an enviable model of liberty and free speech. But 19 years after the ending of the Civil War, and 7 years after the rebirth of Liberia following the Ebola virus epidemic, Liberia still ranks as one of the 10 poorest countries on the globe. So when a newborn child fails to achieve standard growth benchmarks, a newborn child, doctors call that failure to thrive. It means there's something wrong. Failure to thrive. In the United States, the legislative branch and the executive branch are in 100% agreement on policy regarding Liberia. They're both calling for action on the primary cause of Liberia's failure to thrive: a long-term infestation of rampant and pervasive corruption. Corruption steals from the poorest. It blunts or negates the impact of all of our development projects. It defeats initiatives before they can even be launched. And it raises risk and uncertainty to a level that drives away foreign investment. I would like to remind you of President Weah's inaugural speech in 2017, when he stated, "It is my belief that the most effective way to directly impact the poor and to narrow the gap between the rich and the poor is to ensure that public resources do not end up in the pockets of government officials. I further believe," he said, "that the overwhelming mandate I have received from the Liberian people is a mandate to end corruption in the public service. I promise to deliver on this mandate." This morning in Washington, D.C., the United States Secretary of the Treasury placed sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act on 3 government of Liberia officials: Minister of State Nathaniel McGill, National Port Authority Director Bill Twehway, and Solicitor General Syrenius Cehpus. After a rigorous interagency investigation, the Treasury Department determined that these 3 officials engaged in corrupt acts, and they are now subject to U.S. financial sanctions and visa restrictions. This is a decision that the United States government does not take lightly, because corruption is not a light topic. As Treasury Secretary Yellen put it, corrupt acts take resources from citizens, undermine public trust, and threaten the progress of those who fight for democracy. But allow me to clarify some points before we proceed. Corruption exists in the United States. Corruption has always existed in Liberia and in the United States. These sanctions are sanctions against individuals, not against the country, the party, or this administration. Today, these 3 executive branch officials are being singled out. The Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, or GLOMAG as we shorten it, has only existed since 2017. So no previous government of Liberia administrations could have had individuals sanctioned under GLOMAG. Today's announcement does not preclude others from potential future sanctions. But of course, full accountability in Liberia can only come from Liberians themselves. Recognizing corruption's ability to corrode democracy, on June 3rd, 2021, President Biden established the fight against corruption as a core U.S. national security interest, stating, corruption threatens United States national security, economic equity, global anti-poverty and development efforts, and democracy itself. Today's actions are one of a series of actions taken to combat corruption, in line with the U.S. strategy on countering corruption. In addition, today's announcement is consistent with the U.S. strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa, which was announced by Secretary Blinken during his recent visit to South Africa. In that strategy, 2 of the 4 main objectives touch on the effort to reduce corruption.
Well, we're back. We're back. Let me just get this off the screen. 1 minute. So, what did we get out of this message from the United States Ambassador to Liberia, Michael McCarthy? I got 2 basic things from him that will impact every nation and every people, because corruption is a serious matter. When he said, corruption is not a light topic. So let's look at it, 2 different set of things that he said that I want us to pay attention to. Let's look at the first one. U.S. want to know the primary cause of Liberia's failure to thrive. What does that mean? Liberia, let me put that back up. What does that mean? Liberia's failure to thrive. He said that every newborn baby as Liberia, you see, determine Liberia's birth, our rebirth. Here we are still in a rebirth stage, because they counted the Civil War, the years of the Civil War, when we had no governmental structure, we had no functioning institutions, we had no civil system of governance. So those were the dark ages after the 1980 coup. After Dole regime was overthrown and we went to a civil war. Then he also counted the years of Ebola. That means even though Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was in power as president, we had functioning structures of leadership at that time. Ebola almost destroyed all of that, because that took away our growth again. When Ebola came, we had to shut down everything because people didn't know what it was. We didn't know how to control it. We didn't know how to stop it. It was an epidemic. They were trying to turn into a pandemic. So America and all these nations had to come into West Africa and try to stop the spread of Ebola. And thank God we were successful in doing it in Liberia. So that whole period was a breakdown in leadership almost, because our government could not function when the whole nation is facing an epidemic of that proportion. So we had to stop everything almost. Everything had to be focused on the health and revitalization of our nation. We had to revitalize everything in our country. Our people were dying. All the system was shut down. So all of that were included in our rebirth period. So after the war, after Ebola, our country had the chance to be reborn. And that's where he says the doctors look at our rebirth period to determine whether we are thriving or whether there's a failure to thrive. And because of the fact that since our independence, Liberia is still the 10th poorest, among the 10th poorest nations in the world. They want to know why. Why is there a failure to thrive? So after 10 years or so long of a period of non-growth, stagnation, the doctor gotta say, no, something is wrong with this country. There's a failure to thrive. What does that mean? Let's look at this again. And we'll just focus on the failure to thrive. What does that mean? Liberia and Liberians have suffered a long-term infestation of rampant and pervasive corruption. So, that in itself breaks down our system. We have suffered a long term of infestation of rampant and pervasive corruption. How much more can we kill ourselves? I mean, it's so deep in expression that it is telling us that your nation is dying because of nobody else. Your behaviors, your actions, your attitudes, your mentalities are killing your nation. You have suffered under corruption too long. It's been rampant. Nobody has checked anything. Everybody just doing what they want to do, stealing as they want to steal. You steal, I steal. God will laugh. And when we have done this thing for so long, then there's a problem of our failure to thrive. Then the doctor said, no, something wrong with these people. It's a mental issue. Because when the doctor intervenes and sees that when you have a leadership, when you have different leadership for over 10 years and the country cannot thrive, the country cannot grow, the country cannot excel over the stagnation that has kept it down for so long, then the doctor can say, no, something is wrong. There's a failure to thrive. Why? We have to find out why. And the reasons are, it is mental, it is physical, it is spiritual, and all these reasons are holding us down. They're holding us down. They're holding us down. Because our interest is not in the life of our nation. Our interests are in the lives of ourselves and other people, and our leaders, our tribal people. Everybody has a same Liberia. And when our interests do not rest on the thing that identify us as a people with interests that are common and united, then we are just a bunch of failures. We are a bunch of failures. It can't be any more clear than the U.S. ambassador himself telling us the meaning of failure to thrive. What is the medical meaning of it? That we have existed in a mental state for too long. Corruption is a mental state. It's both mental and physical. Yes, you got to form it in your mind to do it physically. You can't just steal with us forming it in your mind. It's a mental state and a physical state. Because before you steal, you have to think about it and make up your mind to steal. That's why it's an intentional act. It's not an inadvertent act or some mistaken act. It's got to be an intentional act. You see the money there, it's not for you. You know it's not for you. But as soon as you see it, it's there. You form in your mind the intention to steal it. That's the intent, to steal. And the intent is formed when you take it. Because it's not yours. It's not yours. You have no authority to move it. You have no right to move it. Except you want to help the people that you ask, whose money is this? But once you move it and put it in your pocket, You are converting and you are stealing. They're not converting. You are stealing because you have no authority over that money. So you see where it rests? And that's why we are suffering from. There's that mental state of stealing. It's so bad and long, and prolonged. How do we stop it? Now here's the second lesson. Now we know we got this mental state where we have been under a long and pervasive period of corruption. Then we look at the other aspect of what McCarthy said. What corruption does to the people and country. Let everyone move when we come back, we'll talk about it. What corruption does. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. When we steal from our country for so long, it has a resulting action because of our action. It has a resulting reaction because of our action. For every action, there's an equal and opposite. That is scientific law. That's the scientific law of life and nature and everything. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You protest against people, people won't protest back. It's not supposed to be the government. If George Weah got supporters, his supporters are supposed to be going out there. But not an instrumentality formed and supported by the party. No. Then you creating violence in the country. But the people themselves just get out and say, oh, we in support of George Weah, we come out to demonstrate too, and they come out and demonstrate by themselves. Yes, that's different. That's different. You see, and the police are there to stop the violence, to ensure that people demonstrate peacefully without any violence. Then that peaceful, but it wasn't that like that on July 26th. The police were not there to present peace. They were there to participate in the action of the government. You see? So there was a breakdown in leadership. So corruption destroys every fabric of democracy. Because when you corrupt, you got to cover up your corruption. And to cover up your corruption, you got to ensure that the corrupt leadership stay in power. That's where it starts from. When you see now, you got to hide it. How do you hide it? You got to stay in power. Because any other honest, trustworthy government that comes into power will want to investigate. We want audits. We want to punish people who steal. So you got to ensure that the corrupt leadership stay in power. And when you have that kind of intention to remain in power, that is an intention to violate the Constitution of the Liberian Republic. And once you start doing that, one thing leads to another. One thing, you pull rope pull bush pull forest. We know all that. That I was saying from Liberia. We know that when you start something corrupt and you got to hide it, you got to take a bigger step of corruption to hide a small corruption. Then you end up in a bigger corruption. Then you still got to go on with the corruption because once you start it, it's a rolling stone. And people got to investigate. So you got to continuously do it. So that's when the government ends up striving to be a dictatorship. Because they got to stay in power for life. Because if they move, anybody that come there will punish them. You see? Look at America with Donald Trump. The same thing happening now. He want to run people trying to stop him because of January 6th. You know? And his actions and behavior. You know? Now they're punishing all of them. Look at Rudy Giuliani now. He's going to be brought up on charges and all of that. Right now he's being interrogated and all of that. So once you start something against the Constitution, against the law, or any law in the land, and it's not right, and you commit a violation, you got to cover it. Look at Ellen Johnson Sally, what she did to our country. She's a criminal. She took our country and gave it to George Weah because right there the international community were not decisive about who to make president of Liberia, George Weah or Joseph Boakai. And they were sitting down there indecisive. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf got up and took the hands of Joe Weir and said, yes, put a man there. I sanctioned this man because our country needs a youthful leadership. And look what that shit got us today. You take an ignorant man, a dummy, a football player, and put him in charge of our country. Then you tell him that the future, you tell us in the world that the future of Liberia is just the future we're living in right now. Give me a break, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Give me a break. So let's look at this thing again. What corruption does to a country and people. Corruption steals from the poorest people. Let's just deal with that. Corruption steals from the poorest people in our nation. Look at our country. Look at how our people suffering. They have no vision of any good things. They have no dreams of any good things. They're just wandering around our country like lost people. Why? Because the leaders they depend on to do things for them, to open way for them, to educate them and enlighten them, to strengthen up their minds and give them the ability to dream, good dreams. These people have no interest in them. The people stealing from them because they are the poorer people in our nation right now. There's no school. You go to a school, no restroom, no structure, no good structure. How can the people sit in the structure and learn? People talk about NEC, how terrible the building is. If our infrastructure is that bad, how conducive it is for the educational system in our country? It's not. It's not. It's not. So these people who are corrupt, they rob the poorest people in our nation because the people with money can survive. They can say, oh, hell, I'm leaving this country. Like most of us in America who are fortunate to come to America now, most of us are more wealthy than the people in Liberia. We are more wealthy than the people, so we can survive better in America. Most of us have become citizens. It makes it even easier for us. But who's suffering? The poorest among us. And that's why we got to fight for our poor brothers and sisters. That's why corruption destroys the very fabric of our nation and hurts our people. What's next? Corruption blunts or negates the impact of all of our developmental process. So everything we strive to do is destroyed because of corruption. It blunts it. It like blacks it up. Put black over everything we do so we can't see it. It blunts it. It negates it. It forgets it. It sets it aside for something else that is not supposed to be for. So when you negate your responsibility, you violate your responsibility. You neglect your responsibility. You derelict in your duties. So everything that for us that we put together for our own progress and advancement is destroyed. Everything is destroyed because of corruption. That's what corruption do. What's the next point? What's this? Oh, it destroys or defeats. Oh, sorry, people. I didn't even check that. It defeats initiatives before they can even be launched. Launches. I don't know why I'm thinking, but I read that thing over and over and just sorry, folks. But this one is it defeats initiatives before they can even be launched. And that's true. All our developmental program, look at the road fund money that we had there for the road funds. Now we can't build a road. The projects can't be launched because the people finish taking the money that's supposed to be law governed. That means an act was made to govern that money. Nobody can touch it. These useless people, so bad off and incompetent, they can't even pay the government. They can't even pay the government. They got no money to pay the government. They go into the road fund, violate the law, talking about the foreign donors and permitted them to do it. What foreign donors got to do with our laws and the things that our laws govern? So they violate our laws. take the road fund and use it to pay people. Now, that's a typical example. It defeats initiatives for our projects and our development before they are launched. Now, all the road fund gone. Where we going to get money from to build roads now? You see what I mean? It defeats the purpose because of corruption, because of negativity, because of incompetence, because of failures. That's why we fail to thrive. It really hurting me. I forgot to. I typed all those things wrong. Okay, then the last part. It raises the risk and uncertainties to a level that drives away foreign investments. So, what is saying here? It's saying because of the same reason, all the money we get is finished before we can even launch programs. The money that we have for development programs, we all steal it. Now there's no money to do it. It negates everything we try to do right for our country. It destroys it. It put it in the negative instead of positive. Now here we are. It raises the level of risk and uncertainties to a level that foreign investment will not come to our country. They will not come to our country. That one for the foreigners. When the foreigners see our country so defunct and negative, it raises their consciousness to a level that says, no, we can't invest in that country. It's not right. Look at that country. For 10 years, no electricity. They can't electrify the country. Look at the roads. There are no roads where it will take our country to Banga or Maryland or Lofa. How will we get our goods up there? Every rainy season, the whole road block. We got to call people to come push the trucks and things like that. We can't afford that. We get the people money to help them build a road. They take the road fund money and they use it for something else. How can we help those kind of people? You can't. There's a problem. There's a failure to thrive. Investments will not come to Liberia. Now let's look at the second point. The second point had to do with the department, the Treasury Department's bosses' own concerns about corruption. And here they are. Corruption is not a light topic. Corrupt acts take resources from citizens. This is what the Treasury Department boss said, the first thing. And it goes back to all what we just said, how it negates our developmental program. It hurts us personally and collectively. So it takes resources from the citizen and give it to individuals who wants tea. Look at McGill, look at Twehway, look at Cehpus. 3 individuals steal all the wealth of our country. Now let's look at the next one, what the next one says. Undermines public trust. We can't trust our government no more. We can't trust George Weah. We can't trust his administration. We can't trust the people under him because it undermines the trust we give them. You know, we trust these people. They take our trust and lie to us and turn it around, deceive us, and massively steal from our country. How can we trust people in this government again when the president himself is buddy with all these people? So you know he's just as corrupt as the rest of his government officials. You pull bush, bush pull rope, rope pull forest. Okay? So let's look at the last one now. What's the last one? Threatens the progress of those who fight for democracy. Why? Because you know when you're fighting for democracy, democracy is supported by the Constitution and laws. So those who are fighting for democracy want our country to abide by the Constitution and laws that our government officials and our people make. The people make the Constitution, the government officials make the statutes. So that's the laws of our people and our government representative. So how can we expect these people to do their work? They can't do it. They can't do it because for us who want to ensure that our democracy works, we also want to ensure that our leaders and people follow the rule of law and order and governance, the right rule of law, positive rule of law. But when you got a corrupt people running our country, one of their biggest acts is to violate our Constitution and silence or ostracize anybody or group of people that stand against the corrupt and dictatorial behaviors. So, I don't know. These are the things I took away from him that really hurt people like us. Okay? It hurt people like us. It hurt poor people in our country, the poorest among us. It hurt us, man. You know, at least we educated, we smart, we can go hustle. Where do people hustle from, man? They can hustle. Who they know to hustle? You know, that further hurts our people and our nation. And our leaders are responsible. So this is my lesson for this morning. You know, with this kind of prolonged, rampant, and pervasive corruption that has caused a cloud to be thrown over our country and our democracy, we as a people, the ambassador said it. He said only the Liberian people can return order and law to our country. The other foreign nations can help us by putting sanctions on these people. But what the sanction will do is the president keep these people in power. Even if he suspends them and he doesn't punish them, what will it do for us? It don't do nothing. We just put other groups will just grow up because there's no deterrence. There's no punishment for corrupt and vicious act. The president himself needs to be punished by the Liberian people. So only we, the Liberian people, have the power and the force and the might to punish our own law people, our own government officials, our own judiciary people. And if we fail to do that, if we fail to protest because we're scared of these people, if we fail to stand up for our country, we too are to blame because we're supposed to die for our country as patriots. We're supposed to give up everything to stand up for this vital and good governance of the Republic of Liberia. People have died, many people have died, and their deaths cannot be in vain. Rise, my people. Protest, my people. Let's set our country right. Something wrong with our country. These people said it. There's something wrong. Okay? When he said, there is something wrong. Yes. And can you imagine now, because of Liberia, the U.S. Congress, more than ever before, have come together. They never came together for the past 2 years for anything, but because of Liberia, they are 100% together. The ambassador said it. They are 100% together. So Liberia is uniting the U.S. Senate to punish our rogues. They are 100% together because the corruption is out of control. It's run amok. And we got to reel these criminals in, including George Weah. The time of the Liberian people is now. That's my lesson for this morning. So let's take a break and see some ad on our community front. Let's see where our community news got to advertise for our people. You know, yesterday we looked at Twehway's restaurant, and it's a new restaurant in on Central Street in Providence. So let's check her out. And I forgot to put the number there. Tony and I were doing the interview. We were talking so much about her address and all that. Both of us forgot to talk about the number. So the number to Twehway Restaurant is 401-263-0234. I will announce that again at the end of the show. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Attorney Commander Glapohkpa Chesson, and welcome to my show. This morning, I'm at Twehway African Restaurant in Providence, Rhode Island, with the proprietor. Ma'am, could you kindly tell us your name and when you started this business?
My name is Twehway Bankole. This business started year 2020, during the pandemic period time. That is when this place was found, and then we started gradually. Now today here we are in Tony African Restaurant on Broad Street, number 45 Central Street, Rhode Island. The business have been doing fine since we started. Gradually, we are not in a rush. People have to know us first before the business can pick up. But we thank God now that the people have started knowing us, and then the business is picking up.
So it's a bit, I know you just started and you're dealing with the whole Rhode Island community. What about the African community? Do the people know about you?
Yeah. Some African community have known us. So we are still introducing ourselves to the community so that they can know us better. So that's what we are doing right now. We printed our flyers, we printed the business card, then we have the signposts, we have everything to show that we are here, right here on 45 Central Street, Broad Street.
So what would you like to say to people on my show?
Yeah, I would like to say hi to everyone, my African people, both Liberia, Nigeria, Senegal, those all parts of Africa that are coming to eat here. It's not only Africa. We see a lot of white people trying to eat this my egusi soup with pounded yam. We eat like this. Some will come here, I teach them how to eat this. They will come here, they will use the left right to cut the fufu and use the right hand to make soup. No, I tell them no, this is how to cut the fufu. Then you put the pounded yam, not fufu. It's pounded yam, you put it in egusi soup, then you swallow. And it's very beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. I will spread your news around, let the people know about your restaurant. I had cassava leaf and rice here, were very delicious. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Tony African Restaurant at 45 Central Street in Providence, Rhode Island, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts on Broad Street. You can't miss it. So, thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, we are to introduce you the food that we are having here. This is called fried rice, and that is plantain. We have the cow food, we have the jollof rice, that is Nigerian jollof rice. The Ghanaians, the Sierra Leone's, every one of them are eating those food. This is the goat meat, and we have beef, we have the tripe, we have turkey, we have spinach, and the egusi soup right here. This is the cassava leaf and palm butter soup for all my fellow Africans.
So you got a little something for everybody.
Everybody.
Thank you very much to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And good luck with your restaurant.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is my brother Damon. This is Damani, and they come and help me out every other weekend. I am out here in Roger Williams Park across the street from the tennis court every other weekend. Saturday and Sunday, mostly every single Saturday for the summer, throughout the summer. So this is my small shop. I sell lashes, suitcases with waist beads, lip gloss, lashes, healing bracelets, waist beads, the last pouches. I'm making bracelets right now at this moment. I just need 4. And I have a whole bunch of waist beads in this box right here. These are scrunchies. Literally, I have a whole bunch of varieties. Baby bracelets, this is what they look like. Healing bracelets, that's what they look like. And that's pretty much what I sell.
And that's pretty much my show for this morning. Attorney Commander Glapohkpa Chesson is out. See you tomorrow morning. Stay safe and be ready to rise early to meet the morning sun. Attorney Commander Chesson.